Tony Cannestra of Denso. How are you doing? Enjoying the symposium?
I'm enjoying it very much. I have a beautiful view here of the Parliament building across the river and have had lots of good discussions over the past couple of days. So it's been a very good event overall as usual.
Okay, well, people will know Denso as the second largest automotive supplier in the world. Tell us a little bit about the venture strategy which you run.
Yeah, so we are, the world's second largest tier one auto parts supplier. So we, build discrete parts, components, modules, and deliver them to most of the world's OEMs. Light vehicle is a main focus, but also heavy duty trucking is also an area that we do participate in. On the venture side, we've been running now a CVC that I lead for the past 6 years, really focused on 5 different areas that cut across transportation and mobility. The first area is autonomous technologies, so basically focused trying to move forward with autonomous driving, hardware, software approaches. The second big area is connected vehicle, again, sort of hardware and software. The third area is cybersecurity, which is, as you probably are aware, a big concern for the industry in general, because that challenge is coming very quickly for us to face. The fourth area is electrification, so the move to EV and electric vehicles and how that's going to impact us and the industry. And then the last one is areas what we call new mobility. So these ideas of new business models. So for example, last week we announced our most recent investment in an e-bike sharing company. E-bike. So you would think of Denso as a service provider, but it's a very interesting opportunity for us to study micro-mobility and how we might be able to provide some hardware in that industry and see how the industry develops and impacts the overall transportation landscape.
So that's a Swiss investment, correct me if I'm wrong?
It's actually a US company. Their operations are currently in Switzerland, but they have intentions now to expand globally.
But you're active in Europe. You've got a couple of investments in Finland.
Yes, so we have two. We definitely look into Europe. We look very significantly. We look at Israel and technologies there. We've looked into Asia. So yeah, we have a global presence in terms of where we look and where we invest.
Okay, let's hone in a bit on the electrification aspect of your venturing strategy. How do you see that happening as it is, and how, if it's possible to predict a little bit how it's going to evolve?
Well, I think that's the key question. It's hard to predict how it's going to evolve. Certainly, we see there's a lot of momentum now around a plug-in, approach to electrical vehicles. Excuse me. So we, in that particular area, we look at new battery technologies, because if you can make a leap forward in that particular technology, that's going to be a real step forward significantly for the industry, because people have range anxiety now, and that's going to continue until we have a new battery technology that can help alleviate that. Fast charging, so charging times, wireless charging is probably coming in our future, so we certainly look in those areas. How things mesh together in terms of the vehicle, the grid, the home, because smart home is more coming, and that's going to require more electrification. So all those things sort of come together. Plug in now also in the future, how does hydrogen play into that? Because we're starting to see some countries sort of focus in that area. That's, if people don't know, that's also another aspect of EV. The hydrogen is the fuel, but the car turns it into an electrified version, right? So those two things, those two big areas are still undecided for our future. So as a tier one, we have to look at all that and try to understand where we can play and where our customers want to have us help them.
Yeah, you can't place your eggs in one basket. You've got to keep your options open, and that does include hydrogen, which, as a Japanese business, there's an understandable historic interest also in hydrogen.
Right. Yeah. So that's certainly a big part. And as you mentioned, optionality is something that we as a CVC group provide, and so being able to understand that any one given OEM customer might want to do plug-in, another one might want to pursue the hydrogen roadmap. And so we've got to be able to supply to both and understand the needs of both and the technologies that are relevant to both, right?
Yeah.
And so that becomes a bit of a challenge for us, and part of what my group does is look out across all the different startups to understand where they might be providing value across either one or both of those particular roadmaps.
Okay. Now, looking ahead to GCV Energy, our Houston event on November the 21st. Hope to see you there, Tony. Let's talk a bit about how you work with the energy sector, how you co-invest, and what type of collaborations you would like to have.
Yeah, so it's interesting how that dynamic in that relationship has changed, because if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, the answer would have been, well, the oil and gas companies are more downstream from us, so we don't really touch them, right? That's the OEMs are closer to them than we are. But as we look at the changing nature of the industry and moving away potentially from carbon fuels to now electrification, we're starting to see more and more areas where we potentially intersect. So over the last 3 years in particular, we've looked at several different investments together with energy companies. And so I think we'll continue to see that kind of relationship advance and mature, such that whether it's a tier one in the automotive industry, an OEM, or an energy provider, that the three of us will be looking together, how can we do things together with a startup that then will advance the technology, advance the industry in general towards an electrified future.